Brad Ferguson, I just want to let you know, boo hoo. We were only up 39% this month. I think it's 39.
And Tesla
Yeah, and
for
Tesla,
months of
I'm
September.
sorry, 29, almost 30%. We're only up 30% for the month after today. So I
Okay.
think we should all sell our Tesla shares and go home. However, I do want to say this. I did not anticipate. I missed it yesterday a little bit because I didn't think we would go that far that fast. And I definitely missed it in terms of coming down this much in a single day after such a positive beat. But I
Miss
here,
Miss what? Were you considering trimming for yourself or
no,
miss
no,
what?
no, 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 not a chance. Did you
Okay.
trim?
Did not.
No.
Yeah, so the stock ran up quite a bit. So 3 weeks ago on September 10th, I posted about this these numbers being a catalyst for the stock, and I thought the stock would run up to these numbers.
To
So
what? What did you think? What did you think it would run up to?
I thought it would go up to at least 400, if not higher.
Okay.
So the stock was 350 at the time. And I said that I thought these numbers were going to be a surprise, that people didn't know how high they would be. So I think a lot of the run up going into today was likely focused on these numbers. And you did have some momentum focused type of investors, I'll call them traders or gamblers, who added to Tesla. Maybe they didn't own it before, but people added some options, they added some margin, they might have sold some shares in other companies and added to their, concentrated position in Tesla. Um, so what can happen is you do this coming into the event, and people are adding the shares with the intention of like reducing after the event.
Right.
So
Right.
I think that's what we got, where the initial reaction was positive. The stock was up 3%, at least in the pre-market.
Right.
But we finished down 5% on the day, or down, let's see how many dollars. That's a lot of dollars.
It's about $35 from top to bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a big swing. Uh, so I wouldn't have been surprised either way. I but I am now thinking like uh people may come to their senses on like how good these numbers are going to be. So there's going to be this push and pull now. And I'm just talking about the psychology around the stock in the
Yeah.
short term. I realize this is short term. I'm focused on long-term value of Tesla too, but this can be fun. So like over the short term, you have record deliveries. You have great deliveries for mega packs, so energy storage, 12.5
Hmm.
gigawatt hours. This is a
Hmm.
really good number. Um, the deliveries came in well above where Wall Street was, not quite above 500.
Hmm. Hmm.
I was at 500. We got 497. Matt Smith was at 492. So I was closer than Matt.
You were, you were. I hit
He,
it on the nose because I was 470 to
nice.
505.
Eh,
So I was righter than both of you.
Yours is a little vague, I'd say, but he did win with Price is Right rules, so he was
I see. Okay.
lower than me. Um, so we weren't surprised by the numbers, and given the run up coming into the numbers, I'm not super surprised by the reaction. Um, but I'm thinking that how strong they are. There's going to be a huge buildup in cash.
Yeah.
Tesla sold 50,000 more cars than they produced.
Let's back up for a
Yep.
second. Let's back up for
Okay.
a second. I do want to ask you one question.
All right.
Based on what you're hearing, because you hear from a lot more people about this stuff, how much do you think these new betting markets would have impacted this today? Because now you have three numbers. 2 years ago, we wouldn't have had three numbers. We had the street number, we had
Uh-huh.
the whisper number, which
Uh-huh.
I think the whisper number is commonly like guys like you and me, maybe that are influencers out there. Troy Test like maybe more so. But that's the whisper number, and it was much higher. It was, I think Troy came in at 281. But a lot of people are around, 481. A lot of
Yeah.
people are around 470 on the whisper number. What I was hearing was that 470 was the whisper number. But then you've got the betting market coming in was over 500, like
Right.
511 at one
Yeah.
point, even though it came down under five by the time the numbers came in. So do you think that people are betting their stock or are making a stock decision around that kind of a spread between the street number and the betting world's number?
It could be, but like it's also a FOMO thing where you have version 14's coming out soon, and there have been people who have tried it and shared some of their thoughts, and um, it's very good. It sounds like it's as good as Elon described, like 2 to 3 times better than human.
Mm.
So it's does a great job in getting in the right lane earlier. It doesn't need to, suddenly turn or suddenly brake. So it's extremely smooth. So it's not putting itself in a trouble, and it's often will make changes like a full second before the human would have done it. So it's starting to become potentially
Which
more superhuman, but I've heard some things that aren't ideal, like it still might hit some potholes.
I see.
That's not good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There may be some other minor things, but it sounds really good. And other than there are other reasons why Tesla has the safety monitors and the robotaxis, but um, as far as the safety of the car,
Mhm.
version 14 should allow them to take them out.
Got it. Got it. All right. Now let's switch gears and talk about the profits and the
Oh
cash
yeah.
flow.
Okay.
So I asked Grok this morning. I said,
Hmm.
given these numbers, you got we know this the two main numbers. What do you think the profit will be? And Grok came in at 65 cents, which the street is right now at 49 cents.
Right.
I had already I published a couple of weeks ago that I thought it could be between 75 and 90 cents, depending on margins and a couple of other things. So that would be a huge beat. And so I actually criticized Gary Black. I know I never, ever argue with Gary Black, but I
Hmm.
argued with him this morning on his response to this because
Hmm.
he has said, I can't count the number of times because I do subscribe to him. I can't count the number of times he said, now between the numbers and the earnings call, we're going to have all kinds of pundits and analysts will be raising their earnings per share and their price targets, and that
Yeah.
will cause the stock to run up between now and then. And he didn't say any of that this time. He said he thought it would be kind of, you know, now that he's not invested, maybe that is impacting the way he thinks, but it's he was thought, no, we'll just hang out around here between now and then, might even drift down.
Yeah. I think this is where the push pull is going to come in. So profits are going to experience a huge bounce back. There's going to be a huge growth in cash. So if you think about it, the let's say the average Tesla sells for about it's above 40,000, so like 45,000,
Mhm.
and they made 50,000 more cars than they sold.
No,
Uh,
they sold 50,000 more than they made.
right, you're right. Okay,
Yes, right.
I need my third coffee for the day, I think. Um, so that's going to cause by that by just that fact alone, that's going to cause their cash to grow by 2.5 billion. But then you have the profit on like the first 450,000 or so cars. So there's going to be cash that's generated from that too.
Right, right.
So
Yeah.
cash could grow by 5 billion this quarter.
Wow, wow.
That's I'm just
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
one
yeah.
of
I
these,
understand.
but
Yeah.
little napkin math. So you have that strength. and analysts are gonna up their revisions. I totally agree. Um, so I think the public really isn't thinking about it. The public's just looking at the stock's reaction today. And Tesla really doesn't, their production delivery reports it is pretty sparse compared to other automakers. So they're just looking at the stock and they're assuming it's bad.
I thought there was potentially also a few people getting out of the stock because most of the analysts fairly, by the way, fairly said the fourth quarter might be lower.
Yeah,
I didn't see any horribly unfair reporting in the news, the normal news channels. I saw some that was better than others, but most of it was pretty good.
yeah,
And so I think there's a chance, maybe even a better than average chance that the 497 number will not be met in the fourth
right.
quarter. But the energy number could maybe be 5 gigawatts higher.
I don't think it'd be that high. At most, I would think maybe three. So maybe it could be 16 or something like that.
So I was looking at
So you have that
right,
softness
right,
of the fourth quarter and potentially the first quarter as well.
right.
Maybe the cyber cab starts sometime around the first quarter. Um, but before we have the cyber cab in the fourth quarter, Tesla may start to make some kind of affordable model.
Right.
Maybe it's a stripped down Y. We don't know,
Mhm.
but there'll be a ramp to that,
Mhm.
and that'll cause a lowering of production, a lowering of supply,
Mhm.
and it'll limit how many cars they can sell in the fourth quarter.
So you also have, as Brian White says, I'm Brian Wong, rather, Brian Wong says you've got 4,000 Model Y Ls made in Shanghai or shipped in Shanghai last week. And so if they could do 4,000 a week, that gives you 52,000 of those for the fourth quarter that you're not counting.
Hmm.
That could make up for what has been predicted roughly as about 40,000 pull forward from the Model Ys and Model 3s in the United States. So those could kind of
Yeah.
balance each other out. Plus, you have fourth quarter
Mhm.
typically bigger
Yeah.
than the quarter. So all those
But
things.
you had this pull forward in the US, but
Right.
you didn't have that in China or
No,
Europe.
no.
And we're also seeing in Europe some strength that,
Yes.
seem like people are very upset with Elon politically in Europe. Even though Elon's a huge supporter of Ukraine, they just don't like, how he talks about it or whatever. They seem to be getting over it, and there's a lot of commentary around Tesla's Giga Berlin factory that they're adding shifts back. You're heading toward,
Mhm.
record production and deliveries there.
Right. So overall, I think if people start to listen to our channel, your channel, my channel, I have this what I call the knee-jerk theory.
Hmm.
So whenever there's a big response, there's the headline number. So we had the headline number this morning, which was a big beat. We went up 3%. Then there's the, wait a minute. Let me look at this a little deeper theory. I mean, up
Right.
here. So we had that all day today. And so people cooled their jets, took some profits. I mean, again, people were sitting here looking at 35% profits in 30 days.
Right.
So I wouldn't, I mean, yeah, I think everybody should stay in Tesla forever, but I wouldn't really talk down too bad about somebody that had 35% profit in 30 days or 100%, almost 100% profit in a year and say, well, trimming might seem like a smart thing to do right now. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there were people that did that because it would be smart if you're not an all-in type, person.
Yeah, even people who say they're never going to sell their Tesla, they're going to use their Tesla shares for something down the road.
Yeah.
So eventually they're going to sell it. And so you might as well trim when it's strong. So I don't besmirch people necessarily for trimming around this time. Um, we did start the day above two Tims. So, one Tim is 225 and 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐲 is 450. Matt Smith's trying to start that one.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. So then
Yeah,
what?
it's better to do it now than at like 300 bucks a share if
Yeah,
you need to get some cash flow, from your Tesla, if it's the only thing you own or whatever. Um, you want to raise cash when it's strong, not when it's weak.
that's right. That's right. So both of us seem to feel, I think we're in agreement here that we probably inch our way back up, maybe towards these highs as we get closer to the meeting. I actually said yesterday that I think we'll be at 500 by the meeting or shortly after. You think I'm out of line there to think we could be at 500 or above, either just before or right after the earnings?
I don't think that's out of line, no. Because yeah, I think people will think twice about this quarter, but then we're gonna get version 14 and when we got version 13 and those reviews started to come out on YouTube, the stock started marching. People watched those reviews and they decided to buy the stock. And I'm not saying that's going to repeat,
Hmm.
but it was a clear catalyst that week that version 13 came out.
Right.
Um, so you could see that happen, and then I'm curious, if they change how they're handling Austin and if they start in, some other cities in Texas. So you could start to see some momentum building. And maybe we find out about an affordable model soon before the shareholder meeting.
Yeah. Gene Munster came out yesterday on CNBC, and he said that specifically people that he has been talking to recently are talking about how good the FSD is.
Hmm.
And I've been saying for a long time that when we get unsupervised, that'll just change everything. But
Right.
even having it this good, and of course it's going to be better, I think turns into people either going to the dealership not knowing what they're going to do, so they're going to test it just to check it out and being blown away. Number two, neighbors taking people on rides and being even more blown away than they were a year ago. And people that have been thinking about it for a very, very long time going, wow, this is just so smooth, so good. Maybe this is the time to do it. We're really there. And what do you think? Do you think this could impact sales in the short term, even before we get to unsupervised? Is just how good FSD is?
I think it'll begin to, but uh I don't think it'll like be the sudden awakening that'll happen. Because people have tried it in the past. They're already anchored by what it looked like then. So I think in general, people are willing to check it out again, but they need to get, I think, an opportunity or an invitation. So whether that's a free trial from Tesla or, one of their friends who is more hardcore about being a Tesla owner saying, hey, it's greatly improved since we last checked it out. Have you tried it recently? Have you tried a 1 month subscription? Oh no? Well, let's check it out again. So I think it may be limited. If it was greatly improved, maybe Tesla starts pushing it harder, where maybe they do some information campaign around that.
Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't
I'm
it?
not saying the A word.
You're not going to say the A word. All right, let's see. Let's look at the economy for a couple seconds. Are you really, really sad that the government is shut down?
No. I am a little annoyed that they never say that the federal workers get back pay
Of course they
once
do. Yeah.
once the government funding comes back.
Yes.
Now, there some of these people do live paycheck to paycheck, and back pay doesn't help as much. Um, it could end up causing you to rack up some debt or, borrow money from family or whatever. But they get back pay. I
Mhm.
mean, like none of the media is talking about that. I don't even think like Fox is talking about that. And like they're talking about like all the bad things about the government shutting down, but I think we'll be okay.
You think we'll be okay? So I think it was Ludnick came out and said, or maybe it was Besant. I think it was Besant came out and said, "Hey, it could impact GDP." But I looked this morning at the GDP now. Have you seen it recently? We're at
No,
3.8%.
right.
It
Yeah.
was
I've seen
3.9.
that. Yeah.
It was 3.9. It dropped all the way down to 3.8. So right now, I don't know, how accurate the Fed GDP now is going to be this quarter, but they're saying that we are currently at this trajectory of a 3.8 quarter.
Mm,
That wouldn't have any asterisks next to it. This is no longer about import and export being out of balance or anything. That's all behind us. So if we're already growing at 3.8, that would be amazing. I mean, that would be,
yeah.
you don't have many quarters where we grow at 3.8. And some people, including me, think that this is just the beginning. And we're going to be looking at 4 plus and then maybe 5 plus.
3.8 is very strong. That's a very good GDP number. Um, yeah, so I, I I am curious if there's an import export going on around that 3.8, but um, provided there's no like crazy thing with trade, if it's a legit 3.8, I think that'd be an enormous positive.
You've got several people, but I think uh, first among them, I think, was Chairman Powell, who said that AI is now at the tip of the spear in
Hmm.
terms of impacting actual activities in the workplace. And
Yeah.
I've said this a couple times on air before, but I wanted to throw it by you. What I'm hearing from the articles I'm reading is nobody's laying off, but the big companies that are already investing heavily in AI are not hiring either.
Right.
They're saying, hey, we can grow with the crew we got. They've been sitting on extra employees anyway. People forget this.
Yeah.
Companies held on to their employees. They had over inventoried themselves with employees because they couldn't find anybody at all. So they're like, okay, I'll hire you no matter what. I don't really need you right now, but I'll keep you on. But now they've never shed those people. They never did. And so now it's kind of like we can grow into those people as well as those people are going to be more productive. I'm looking at where I've been saying this now for a few weeks. I think we could be at zero employment gains. I mean, we like yesterday was ADP was negative. I think
Hmm.
we'd be looking at the regular payroll gains being zero, 20,000 for months to come, and yet still have the unemployment number around where it is now.
Yeah. Yeah. I I'd agree with that. And what you're alluding to is like the hyperscalers back when we had the health crisis. So like the companies like Meta and Microsoft, Google and others, they overhired. There's this huge scramble for engineers, software, and people to run and manage those teams. And they overhired. They did the opposite of what Elon does with his companies. Um, and then they realized when they saw what Elon did with Twitter, which has now become X, that you don't need so many people. And there have been a number of firings in the hyperscalers, but not to the
Agreed.
extent that happened at X. So I'd say your story checks out. It checks out. We happen to be hiring because of AI,
Mhm.
and because of just um, we're doing well, in my opinion. Um, but I do think, yeah, most companies are using AI to reduce cost and let people go in the back office.
Right.
And
Well,
maybe some of them might be getting rid of teams from India.
Mhm.
that handle things. But if you think about the delta there, like they're already saving a lot of money by being outsourced.
Right,
Like your editor is outsourced,
right,
right?
right. Mhm.
Um, so like there's not huge savings there, but it does reduce your complexity, your head count,
Mhm.
by having AI handle a lot more of those tasks.
Yeah, and of course the cool thing is that for a lot of these tasks, AI is better at it also.
Mhm.
So like customer service response is actually better when they've tested it. People are happier with the AI's response than they were with the
Right.
response from the outsourced employee. So maybe
And
it had something to do with accent. I don't know.
yeah. And we are talking about this in an upcoming book that you and I and many others collaborated in about AI and its
Yes,
impact on the world.
AI Rising should be actually pre-ordering maybe in about 2.5 weeks, something like that.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe
fast.
pre-orders in a couple of weeks. Anyway, we're hoping for. Yeah, it's the galleys are basically probably going to be completed this weekend. So there you go. It's very
Slow it down, Randy.
slow it down. No, no, no. We need to get it out as fast as possible because it's changing so fast.
That's true.
That's true. All right. Well,
And
oh,
yeah, I wrote a passage about businesses implementing AI. And
yes, about the specifics of the
mhm,
business application. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes, and it was the best chapter in the book, except when I'm
You
talking,
said it. I can't say that.
except when Larry's on. If Larry's on the channel, then it's a different chapter.
That's right.
All right. Anything else happening in the world, in the economy that, because right now we're not getting new economic numbers. So I said today on my show this morning, we might be better off because people make decisions based on these numbers from the government, and they're so completely wrong that we may be better off to fly blind than we are to use those numbers.
Yeah. So we do have the Supreme Court decision coming up before year end, around the tariffs.
Yeah.
So we don't want to forget about that and not be surprised if that causes some volatility. Uh, so I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Do we know that it's going to be before year end?
It's not a guarantee, but I think it's a good estimate.
So here's my thought on that, just for fun.
Okay, let's
See
hear it.
see how this turns out. They docketed it like a normal Supreme Court case.
Okay.
They did not docket it as a special or a rushed
Or emergency. Yeah.
emergency. They docketed like a normal case, which would mean the decision would come next May or June.
Okay.
I think they did that on purpose so that there would be time for
Hmm.
for everybody to see how the tariffs are working and how it's all going. And
Hmm.
then the Congress, if they see that it's going well, Congress could actually come in and codify some of it. The president could even go so far as to recommend that they get rid of the filibuster long enough to codify the tariffs that were done. And there's all kinds of possibilities that if you let it go to the normal play in May or June, that would give time for all of that to be figured out.
Okay.
So that's
I like it.
you like it? You like it? We'll see.
It's a
We'll
good
see.
theory.
We'll see if the theory plays out. All right. So the economy is
Uh,
good.
I'll say another thing. There's a lot of announcements in AI,
A lot.
and yeah, there's some concern that some of the announcements seem to be circular, like NVIDIA is investing in OpenAI, and then OpenAI is turning around and buying equipment from NVIDIA. But Microsoft did this,
Yes.
and they did very well with it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think they own more than half of OpenAI, and the valuation for OpenAI was just adjusted. I don't know if it's last night or something to 500 billion.
Right. Yes.
So Microsoft now has $250 billion in OpenAI, and I think it cost them at most like $30 billion
Right.
of compute that they traded to OpenAI. Um, so, maybe it'll go worse for NVIDIA. Maybe they won't get as much appreciation, or maybe it goes down. But NVIDIA also has these huge gross profits in their chips. So even if the valuation of OpenAI went down, they still have a lot of cushion where they don't lose money.
Right, 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 right. Yeah.
And I just think there's a ton of value in AI, so I'm not concerned about these deals and announcements that are coming out.
Besides, you're all about spending the corporate treasury in order to buy shares. I remember something about your recommendation that would have turned out quite well if Tesla had done that about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I also think back about
Buybacks. Yeah.
I also think about Mercedes, who owned some shares in Tesla way back in the day.
Mhm.
I think they would have made more money on their Tesla shares over that 15 years or whatever it was than they have made as a company in all other regards. Something like that. There's a
Yeah.
number. Yeah.
Yeah. And Toyota, I think, had an investment, and then yeah, one of the European automakers had an investment, and Tesla. They both sold way too early.
Way too early. No kidding. All right. Well, okay. So the economy is perking along. I've made my call. I tried to make my call before Tom Lee can increase his call. So Tom Lee was at 6,600 on the S&P until about I don't know 3 or 4 weeks ago. He increased it to 6,700. We've now passed clearly through 6,700, and so I'm now calling 7,100 for the end of the year. What do you think?
So is this like you're at the auction instead of like going up in the minimum increment, you just kind of jump a few increments to intimidate. Are you intimidating Tom Lee?
I
What's going
went
on here?
I went back and I said, okay, the S&P went up 21% in 2023. It went up 22 or whatever percent in 2024, and it's already gone up about 15% this year. So if we're going to get it,
Mhm.
if we're going to continue on that path, and we've got a whole quarter to do it, it would tell me that we would be at 7,100 by the end of the year. So is there a flaw in my thinking?
No, I don't think so.
All right. So
Let's
7,100
go. Let's
is.
go for it.
All right, let's do it. I always like to run these by you just in case, because Larry, of course, Larry, see, you're easier on me than Larry is. Larry would say, "No way, are you kidding me?" Randy, do you ever watch Larry and I on Monday night?
Uh, I haven't in a while. I should because Larry's very wise, and I'm working with Larry on a company called 𝐒𝐚𝐿umiCENTI, and
Right.
Larry and I just did a video with you, and that video may be coming out in a couple days. So it's a private equity venture capital type deal, and you can check out that video from Randy when it comes out.
Probably either tomorrow or Saturday. It's, I think, when that's going to come out. Sounds like a really
Yeah.
fun thing you guys have put together. Yes, Larry's a very wise man. That's why I let him come on and criticize my theories.
Mhm.
So, and everybody seems to kind of like the fact that we get
And
in.
that's how you triggered me to get on your show the first time is I felt you're too bullish and
Oh, oh,
too wild, and I want to come and try and tame you.
oh no, not that.
I wasn't
It's
successful.
been tried before. All right, Bradford, thank you as always for coming on and sharing and having some fun. I think we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think we're going to have a bounce back tomorrow, but who knows? I was really shocked to see it go below 440. We'll see what happens tomorrow when we all wake up to the the beginning of another day.
But before that, do we got some numbers
Oh
to
yeah,
get to?
thank you so much
Let's
for
get right to the numbers.
let's get right to the numbers. Bye. Oh yeah, thanks, Bradford. I almost forgot about the numbers. All right, so let's look at it straight up here. It's true, Tesla went down 5.11% compared to last night's close. So it ended up at 436, but as I said a minute ago, I think it's only fair to look at this. A week ago, so most people would be happy to make 0.76% per week. If you made 0.76% per week, that would be a very, very good year. How about for the month? 29.73 for the month. How about for 3 months? 38.26 for 3 months. This is after we came down. How about for 6 months? 63%. for 6 months in a stock. How about for a year? 81%. And that's after we came down that 6% today. So I think that the stock is doing just fine. It's just that we all get excited when it goes up like that. And we also are trying to figure out what in the world actually happened that caused all that nonsense. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put you guys on pause for a minute and wait until the rest of the numbers come out. So how are things doing now that we had another day of shutdowns? Well, let's go ahead and take a look. We'll start with the bonds as we commonly do. The bonds are down another 0.5 of a basis point here in the after hours, pre-market, whatever they call it on the bond market, 4.085. So we are now only 8 and change away from going into the threes. End of the month is my absolute last possible day, but could happen a lot sooner at the rate it's going down. We've got oil up just a tad, but we're sitting at $60.70. So now that starts to become a little bit dangerous. If we get too deep into the 50s, the oil folks will start capping wells, and that's not good. But we got OPEC pumping. I'd just rather have the American companies making the money instead of OPEC. We've got natural gas down 1% finally, still sitting at $3.41. So very high up there for now. Gold, well, gold was down today, but now in the pre-market back up again, 3,880. There's still a long way to go to get back to the record high, but it definitely came down a little bit today, as did silver, but it's also popped back. So $46.83, up 1% tonight. Copper up also a little bit, 0.07. We're almost up to $5 at $4.95. We have got the dollar looking, whoops, boy, I just messed everything up there. Let's go ahead and look at the dollar. The dollar is mixed. Of course it is. We've got Bitcoin up 2008. We're now at 120,338. That's up 2.39% today. So now we are starting to get into all-time high territory for the Bitcoin. Ethereum is up 3.4 today, sitting at 4,478. And that is also, I'm guessing, very close to all-time highs. Dow is plus point. All three of the futures are down, all three, but basically unchanged. Again, not even worth going through it. It's so close to being unchanged. But for the day, the Dow was at all-time high, up 0.17. S&P all-time high, up 0.06. NASDAQ also, I think, up all-time high, 0.39, 22,844. So the S&P is now at 67.15. Remember, I was the first to make the call, 2,100 for the end of the year. I'm not sure you can find anybody else calling the S&P for 2,100. I mean, anywhere. I don't think you're going to find anybody. I'm going to have to ask Grok what the calls are for the end of the year and see if I've got the highest, if I have the highest number for the end of the year out of everybody. Okay, let's go back really quick. We want one more thing. We want to know what Tesla's doing in the after hours rather. We're back up to 438.69. I think the drop below 440 was just one of those things. I don't think it's going to interfere with our technical analysis. Maybe I really need somebody like Brian Wong to help me on that, who knows more about that technical stuff. For me, I'm thinking that this was like another one of these overshoots like we had last week where we overshot to 444 and then it dropped back to 440. I think this was an undershoot or a shot too much to the lower side, and the real number is 440. And I think tomorrow morning, that's where we're going to start. That's a guess, and I think we will go up from there. I don't think we're going to hang out in the 440s. I think we'll start marching up towards that 470, even back to all-time highs, and then, of course, to 500 or higher, as I mentioned when we were just talking to Bradford. Okay, I think, let's see. Later on tonight, it will be, let me see. I think I'm going to go with Cern Basher tonight. And then last night would have been, I can't keep track. I think it was Brian Wong and somebody else last night. Who else? Nope, I've completely forgotten. Now, I'll put somebody's card up here in case you got some time and you want to watch. And then normal day tomorrow. And that's all I got for you right now. So let me just say, it's been great talking to you.